It is arguably the most famous building in the UK, but it seems like Buckingham Palace isn't actually fit for a king. The iconic home is currently undergoing a whopping £370 million renovation. Look, we're in it. It's behind us there. And there's no royals actually living in there at the moment, and it is rumoured that neither King Charles nor Queen Camilla or the Waleses have got any plans to move in once the work is finished. So, Nadia, is it time to close the doors? Maybe even repurpose the palace?
The thing is, I was just reading about it seems like nobody ever wanted to live there.
Well, who would?
Henry VIII said you'd freeze up the second you'd go in. Queen Elizabeth's governess said it was like camping in a museum. And the Queen didn't want to go there. She was forced to by Churchill. So I think it's always been obviously a bit of a nightmare for the poor soul.
I wonder what's wrong with it.
But so for me, it's not the attachment of the royals. It's just that we need to protect our beautiful architecture and our history. And to me,
some people might say £370 million. Nobody would want to live there anyway.
But I just think that our history is important. I see these buildings as works of art. You know, when I travel abroad and I see, you know, I'll often say to Mark, you know, when we go abroad and we go to other cities, we go, oh, look how beautiful. We forget actually that we have that here in London and that we need to appreciate it. And I think that, yeah, right across the world, these are valuable things for humanity, especially as we move more and more into AI and we want to remember what humans can do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I always think this discussion is actually a code for discussing the royals, really, isn't it? You know, because if you look around the world, as you say, I mean, architecture, if you go to Paris or whatever, there'll be so many gorgeous buildings, nobody's going to say, oh, knock them down because they cost money to renovate.
There's no one living in it.
But it's kind of about the royals, isn't it? And this still kind of grumbles. Well, you were saying this morning you still miss the Queen.
Yeah, there are a couple of things, because you wouldn't want the palace to fall into rack and ruin. No. Because, as you rightly say, it's a wonderful building, one of the best tourist attractions we have. So, indirectly, it brings in a lot of money. And I think that the people who run it, whoever they may be, hello, they actually have made it quite accessible to the public as much as they can. And people who go in there with their ticket and they see all the lovely paintings and all the gold architecture. Yes, and I mean, they really love it. And actually, the Queen although she didn't live there all the time, because she'd go to Windsor or go to Hollywood Palace or wherever. But she would, and I actually miss the Queen being there. I know that sounds a bit silly, but when I was young...
I don't think it does.
We watched Pathy News on a Saturday morning in the pictures, as we called it, not the cinema. And I followed the Queen and Princess Margaret when they were little princesses. And so when the Queen was the Queen, I always felt quite safe when she was in power. And any time I drove around by Buckingham Palace, I would say to myself, what is she in today? You know, that kind of thing.
It's interesting, though, because you literally grew up with the Queen to a certain extent, didn't you, Gloria? Whereas, obviously, Frankie, you didn't. I mean, do you still have a strong attachment to the Queen now that we have King Charles, of course?
I do. I just can't get used to this whole King Charles thing. I just
You say Prince. You say Prince every time. I still do.
Yeah, I just still think of the Queen. I just don't see him as the king, and I don't see Camilla as the Queen. I don't know what it is. Oh,
that's such an interesting reaction.
Yeah, I just think. It's almost, you know what, I feel like we almost know too much about Charles. You know, there was a lot of things around Princess Diana and him, and his relationship with Camilla, and then also now with Harry and Meghan. I think we just know too much. I feel like with the Queen, she was
almost too human.
Queen.
Do you think it's almost too human, whereas she was just like this?
She was symbolic, wasn't she?
She was, like of strength.
Yeah, and unity. I mean, you'll hear so many people, politicians and various other people, and regardless of their politics, most will say, oh, well, I'm not into royalty, but I did have a great respect for the Queen. Because so many people will give even grudging respect to the Queen. So it feels, at the moment in this country, we're very divided, and in fact, across the world. And maybe she was that kind of symbol of unity that people from different sort of backgrounds and beliefs could say,
see, I love
the way she would say,
never complain and never explain. And she never really talked about herself too much. Whereas I am tired of hearing every little thing about the royal family. Books galore, documentaries galore, and I think we know too much about it. And I like the solidarity of the Queen. And also, she wasn't a fuddy-duddy. Remember the Olympics when she did that marvellous sketch with 007? She had a great sense of humour, yeah.
But as you said as well, Kate, earlier, you know, that amount of money spent is actually also that amount of jobs. You know, it's going to create work that's going to take years and years.
Yeah.
Good for the economy. Tourists are always good for the economy, so...
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have to protect our history.
I mean, when Notre Dame burned down, nobody said, oh, just leave it.
Yeah, because there's no one living in it. It's not like because somebody's got to live in it.
I know. Anyway, speaking of British institutions, a new cosy crime drama, it's been described as, hits the screens today as the all-star film adaptation of Richard Osman's Thursday Murder Club novel is available on Netflix.
You see, experience counts.
Yeah.
It's very camp, wasn't it?
It is. I love the sea of grey hair so that they know that they're old. These are old people. And that is a big deal. It revolves around old people turning detectives. So, Gloria, do you think you would make... I know you would make a good detective.
Well, I think I might, because, you see, in Ireland, I mean, there's lots and lots of stories about all the gossiping around the fire and talk around the fire. And ever since you're this size, you get used to all of that. And so we do talk a lot anyway, which is to our detriment sometimes. But Frank Carson had a lovely expression. He used to say, people would ask him, do you hate it when people come up and sort of ask you about being Frank Carson? He said, no. He said, if they don't talk to me, I run after them until they do. And to a certain extent. And also, I do believe that if you've been in the business of interviewing at any time, you do get used to getting information out of people. So I think, because I used to have little tricks that I would use, you know, you might see on your notes, don't ask about the divorce. So I would say, I'm not going to ask you about the divorce, but tell me what effect it had on you. Which means you get the answer anyway. So do I think women make good detectives? Yes, I do.
Oh, so you...
Yes.
That's interesting. So you think it's a woman thing rather than an age thing?
Totally.
Yeah?
Totally. Don't you think?
Why? Why?
Well, just because we love the detail of people, don't we? It's funny, a couple of months ago, we had a friend round, a couple of girlfriends, and my sister was there, and Mark was sort of in the beginning of the conversation. And then this friend of ours was saying, started to talk about a problem that she had with her husband. Well, we were all... and you could see him just like, what's happened? How come the whole place is on fire? What are you all talking about? Everybody had gone off into different areas, you know, dissecting every moment of it. And I just never see men talk like that. Maybe they do when the doors are closed or something, but I never see that. So I think we're constantly gathering information.
Yeah, and when men go to the pub, by the way, they don't say, by the way, how's your sex life? They talk about sport. They talk about politics, about everything.
Is that what you say when you go to the pub, then, Gloria?
Well, listen, let's just change the subject. Well, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
I mean, Ian, if he goes out and he meets somebody that I know has perhaps gone through some kind of family trouble or divorce or whatever, they're with somebody new, and I'll say, so what's happening? I don't know.
Yeah, whereas you'd come back with every detail because we're fascinated by the human condition, aren't we?
We have to know every conversation, don't we? Like, I know when Wayne sometimes listens, if I've got a group of girls round, he's like, how can you talk about the same thing for so long? And, like, I'll try and get him involved and he's just not interested. And I'm like, but don't you want to know all the bits?
I know, it's so weird, isn't it? For me, it's the only really interesting thing, truly interesting thing in life is people and what's going on with them. I love to read them, but I think this is probably because we are very highly suspicious of my mum, that my mum is a spy. and my mum has never denied it. Lots of very odd behaviours.
See, the thing about being a detective is you've got to be quite rational.
Yes.
Yeah, why do you think your mum's a spy?
Oh, no, it's totally rational. My mum, there's so many clues.
Go on.
She knows, well, first of all, it's very odd that she learnt French because she wanted to be in the French service at the BBC, right? And she was only there a few days. And the story goes that she spotted my dad in the canteen and went, oh, he's nice, to her friend. And she said, who's that? And her friend said, oh, he's Arabic. He's in very racist times in those times. She goes, he's in the Arabic service. Nobody wants to work with them. That was literally what was said. So my mum transferred to the Arabic service. That's a bit odd. 2 days, you've studied French, you're now fluent in French.
Maybe she just fancied him.
Yeah.
Well, she did fancy him too. But that was the beginning of it. So then she was his PA and da-da-da, and then she went to Switzerland to get him to come after her, to get him to marry. It's all very dodgy. And things like that. And
I felt like she just knew what she wanted and she went for it.
She's 87, and if I've got any digital problems, my mum has the answer. Snapchat, Facebook, Google, WhatsApp, all of them, she knows.
Did she second-guess your life?
Constantly, like, her phone goes off 1 million times a day. She's 87. And about 20 years ago, she stopped using one eye, right? And it was like, so she would drive like this.
For God's sake, don't say that on the telly.
She would read like
Really?
this, and we were convinced. And then her eye would, like, open and shut like on its own. We were convinced there was some sort of camera in there. My husband's convinced, like anything interstellar or anything like that, when you tell her, she goes, no, I know. Well, that came on the da-da. She even knows exactly down to the last minute when it's going to
Can I just say that you are the only family that if that happened to their mother that would think she was a spy and not take her to the hospital?
We're a family of storytellers, what can I do?
I know, and that's why women make rubbish detectives.